as regards the relations between Marco Rubio and myself, after the presidents had their conversation on the, I think, 16th of October. Is it? This was Thursday, and 3 days later, on Monday, Rubio called me. We had a conversation, very specific, where I reconfirmed our full adherence to what was discussed in Alaska and to what understandings, clear understandings, the presidents reached at that time. As you know, President Trump praised the Alaska meeting repeatedly, that this was a very good meeting, that it set the stage, laid the foundation. He said there are few issues to be fine-tuned, but this could be done easily. One issue is important, he said in his comments about the outcome of Alaska, but this important issue is absolutely subject to finding a solution, which is absolutely our assessment. After we talked with Marco Rubio regarding following up on the results of Alaska, he did not mention any new meetings or conversations, and I did not raise the issue because the entire initiative was coming from the United States, and we would be, I thought we would be ready to move as the Americans feel comfortable for themselves. Then the State Department issued a communique about our phone conversation, if I remember right, which said that we had productive discussion with Marco Rubio, and at this stage there is no need in a personal meeting between the Secretary of State and the Foreign Minister of Russia. So I concluded that the meeting was really good if they made such a comment. And I understand what is behind it. Behind it is the clarity with which we discussed the necessary steps together with Marco Rubio, steps which the Russian Federation and the United States can take to implement very clear, very blunt understandings reached in Alaska. President Putin said that he is ready to cooperate on the basis which was on the basis of the concept and the framework which the envoy of President Trump brought to Moscow, and which they continued to discuss in Alaska. President Putin said that we are ready to accept your concept, and that's how we believe we can move in specific terms on the basis of what you proposed. Then there was no direct response. They agreed that they should take some time to think about it. From the diplomatic point of view, we don't want to interfere in their internal considerations. We don't want to create some discomfort for the United States, which is under huge, unbelievable pressure from the European hawks, from Zelensky and others who don't want to have any American-Russian cooperation on anything. So there are enough people who are not very polite and who impose themselves upon Washington politicians and use each and every means to undermine the process which could have achieved its goals some time ago. In Anchorage, I almost quoted, he said, "We had an extremely productive meeting and many points were agreed to. There are just a very few that are left. Some are not significant. One is probably the most significant, but we have a very good chance of getting there." That was his statement at the press conference in Anchorage. So he went public with this assessment, which fully coincides with our assessment. And the very significant statement was made on the 16th of August, when he came back to Washington from Alaska, and he said, "A great and very successful day in Alaska. It was determined by all that the best way to end the horrific war between Russia and Ukraine is to go directly to a peace agreement, which would end the war, and not a mere ceasefire agreement." This is key. He answered to all those who were, since the probably beginning of spring this year, they radically changed their rhetoric, and if before they were saying, no cessation of hostilities, Russia must be defeated, strategic defeat, and so on and so forth. Then, as of spring, about that time, they started saying immediate ceasefire without any precondition. And they continue to sing this song until now. Rutte, Macron, by the way, Macron, when they shifted to this logic, ceasefire, stop the killings without preconditions, and then we'll see how it goes. And Macron was asked whether this cessation of hostilities, ceasefire, includes the pause in providing weapons to Ukraine. He said, no, it does not. No preconditions at all. So when President Trump, after Anchorage, bluntly, publicly, stated that in his conviction, it is not a ceasefire, but a sustainable, durable peace, which, as he said, must be a long-term peace, a very long-term. And another quotation, we are not talking about a 2-year peace and then we end up in this mess again. When people now say nothing but a ceasefire, immediate ceasefire, and then history would judge, it's a very radical change.
So,
but this also means that the Europeans, they don't sleep, they don't eat, they try to twist the hands of this administration. So this is all reflected in many discussions. President Putin addressed this issue regularly when he is asked by journalists, or when he meets with President Trump, or with Prime Minister Orban, Prime Minister Fico, all those who are interested in talking to Russia, better understanding Russia's position, they always have a chance, an opportunity to come and discuss whatever is of interest. We long ago reached agreement with our Hungarian colleagues that there would be no emotions, that there would be honest reading and rethinking of history. When President Putin was in Budapest long ago, 2006, he laid flowers to the monument to the victims of 1956 events. And just recently, he was in Eastern Economic Forum in Vladivostok, I think 2 years ago, in 2023. And he said that this, addressing the issue of 1956, that this part of the Soviet policy was a mistake. And they don't have any difference on assessing those events with Prime Minister Orban. But they, as I said, they don't need to ignite emotions around this issue, though maybe some people in Hungary and in Russia, especially those who emigrated, maybe they would like to drive a wedge in our relations and to try to steer this history, but the leaders of Russia and Hungary, they know better. This is part of history. We gave our assessment, Hungary gave its assessment, and we now live a new life, remembering about all periods of our history there were, and they do not prevent us from develop mutually beneficial cooperation politically, economically, technologically, and otherwise. Many people said that invitation to Budapest, the meeting there, would basically mean that that it is a humiliation, because Budapest already was once the place where guarantees to Ukraine was signed, and it will be a very bad memory association. People who say so, they never read the Budapest Memorandum. The Budapest Memorandum says that Ukraine, as other former Soviet republics who refused to have nuclear weapons, would receive guarantees. Guarantees as the nuclear powers give to non-nuclear states. That's it. President Trump suggested to President Putin to meet in Budapest. President Putin said, yes, let's go into the preparatory work. We had a good conversation with Marco Rubio. The initiative was on the part of the United States. You know, the initiative is there, and we are polite people. And when we are invited, we say, yes, let's agree how and where and when. And when this invitation is canceled, as President Trump said yesterday in the White House, later they said that cancel means postpone. It's up to those who initiated the process.